Hello and welcome. I'm Tefera Gedamu. My guest today, Godefa, a junior high student in Canada, has a very big vision. At age 7, she started collecting pencils and shipping them to Ethiopia for use by school children. Today, she's trying to do the same thing by shipping books to universities in Ethiopia. Obviously, she's keen on education. Welcome to the program, Hannah.
Thank you.
Tell me a bit about your pencil project, which you started. When was it? When you were 7 years old?
Yeah, about 7 or 8 years old.
It all happened because you wanted to have a pen pal here where your parents come from, and your pen pal couldn't get back to you because she doesn't have a pencil. Is that as simple?
Yeah. I first visited Ethiopia when I was about 7 or 8 years old with my parents. And we visited my grandmother's house, and I got to experience the culture and history, and for me it was very exciting. And
that was your first time?
Yeah, that was my first
time. And you were born in the US, in Canada?
Canada, yeah, I was born in Canada. And when I met this girl living with, near or with my grandmother, we became really close friends. And one of the things that I was really excited about, or was really big for me at that time, was to be a pen pal, like you mentioned, with a young girl. And I wanted to write, back and forth with her and keep our friendship after I had left Ethiopia. So I approached my parents, and they explained to me that because of the circumstance, she didn't have pencils or writing supplies, it wouldn't be possible to continue writing to her. So for me, that was the big turning point in my, vision of this project.
And you ended up shipping how many? 400,000? That was last year? 400,000 pencils, crayons, and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's about over 400,000 pencils, close to 500,000 now if I count everything all together. I first sent 25,000 in 2006 when I returned to Ethiopia. And when I first got involved with the project, I really had a vision to, eliminate any barrier of education through school resources, which means that I wanted to kind of solve this problem or this lack of resources for all Ethiopian children. That was my big vision at that time, after experiencing, with my friend. And I started going out in my community.
But it's very difficult, isn't it, when you want to collect all these pencils? It's very difficult to be taken seriously.
Yeah. For me, I guess the experience that I had, gone through really was my motivating factor. So that, combined with lots of persistence, really enforced the idea that I was really serious about my vision and about my project. So, for example, when I did experience rejection, like from my principals at my school, I kept on going back, and I kept on...
First, what? You got the rejection?
Yes, from my principal at my school. At first, he, really didn't believe in my idea, but I kept on going back again and again throughout the week to his office, and then finally he saw that I was serious about the vision and about my idea, so he decided to support me. And that happened throughout my project. I experienced that throughout my project.
And then you had to go and talk to your community where you live. Is that in Toronto?
Yeah.
And then you had to go to the media. You had to you had contacts, and they wrote a story, and then it became just like wildfire, didn't it?
Yes, yeah. It started off with the support of my school, and then I contacted our local newspapers and our local media, and I think the reason why people took such an interest within my community is because it was coming from a young person who was interested in making a difference, which really encouraged a lot of young people as well, other young students, to get involved with the cause, and that's why there was so much interest in it.
Were you taken seriously by your friends in school, your schoolmates?
By my fellow students. Supported the idea and the cause, because they're also, the young as well, and in the same situation that I was in. and they had the drive and the motivation to help other children, but they just needed an outlet. They just needed I guess, a way to do so.
So I understand that you're keen on education and you wanted to, you were privileged enough to go to school in a country like Canada. It's pretty much straightforward. And what you observed when you came here was it wasn't as easy to go to school for kids in this country. Is that what you observed at the beginning? Or I would say it was a little bit harder because kids are also needed at home, handling household chores and stuff like that. I'd like to see through your eyes what the experience was for you like when you went. I'm sure you visited kids in their homes outside of your extended family, right? That you had in regards to the very idea of education that you were pursuing the years later.
One of the things that really made a big impact in the way that I viewed education in Ethiopia was in 2006, I came to Ethiopia to deliver about 25,000 pencils. And when I visited the rural community and area, I met a young girl who took me to her family's home. It was a little bit near to the community where the school was. And I spoke to the mother, and she told me that she had about 5 children. And I think one of them was a boy, the rest of the 4 were girls. And what she told me was, because of the need for the, manual labor on the farm and the family, she had to send the boy to school, and the 4 girls had to stay home and work on the farm and support so that the boy could, go to school.
And you didn't buy that?
Yeah, no, for me, what really changed my perception or my idea was that children need to be educated. It's so imperative, and in the long run, it makes a difference to educate the child rather than, to let them work within the home or supporting the family. And that's so important. So we have to, I guess, develop some type of idea or some type of program that will allow children and families to understand that education is so important. Children are the greatest resource that Ethiopia has, that the world has, because they're the future. And so educating them, taking the time to show them that there are pathways for them in education that will develop a better future for them is the most important thing, more important than anything else. It should take precedence over anything else that is needed. And for me, growing up in Canada, having an opportunity to go to to have education and to go to school to learn is a really big deal. And I try to take advantage of that as much as possible. And I want to offer that opportunity to other young students, the opportunity that I had.
So you shared this idea with that particular mother you met who sent the boy to school and the girl has to stay at home?
Yeah.
So how did she react?
She explained to me, I guess, that they needed support within the family, and that's also something that you have to understand and deal with, I guess. But she did understand that educating her children is really important, and it's a sacrifice that the other children have to make so that the one child can go to school. It's a sacrifice that the whole family has to take upon themselves. And hopefully, in the future, there can be ways that the other children can be educated within the family by supporting the family itself so that the mother can send, the other children to school. Because, in the long run, not only her family will be supported well by having well-educated children, but the entire, country of Ethiopia will be supported with well-educated, youth. Yeah. So that's really important.
But again, coming back to this particular family you visited, was it a shock for you to hear that the girl out of school?
Yeah, for me, I think that personally I didn't really understand it because I thought maybe, the boy would be, I guess, better with the manual labor. And it was a shock for me because I hadn't experienced that before. I never understood how, I guess, a few children are not able to go to school, because I always had that opportunity. And I thought that every child in the family should have that opportunity. And I guess it's only when we explain and educate the family, as well as kind of shift the cultural and social economic ideology, is when we really offer up an opportunity to education.
I see lots of girls than, for example, 10 years ago. A lot more girls are going to school now.
Yeah, a lot of progress actually has been made. So many universities, schools, infrastructure has been built to support the children of Ethiopia, but the minority children, within the east and not really within the capital of Addis Ababa, but the underprivileged, underfunded children, I think that's really where the need still lies. And we have to really encourage the families and the children through education. We're educating them as well about education. So, I mean, it's really important to have a combination not only of infrastructure, of building schools and building spaces where children can learn, but educating them to go to school, to have the motivation and to have the drive to want to participate.
You're talking about girls coming from rural villages,
Yes, yeah.
from the peripheries. You think they don't have access to education as much as the Highlanders have? Is that, or?
I think really not only just access, but the drive and the motivation is really important, and understanding why it's important to receive education. Rather than work at home or support the family or, start their own family of their own. It's really important to educate them that all of these things
You need to
done.
put more resources into that. Why don't they have the drive, you think?
I think maybe because of, I guess, cultural or especially like economic pressure from the families and from, I guess, the communities. But it's really important to understand that all of these things can come later on in life. And right now it's most important to receive education so that they can make, I guess, the right choices for their future. It's most important to think about, I guess, their future. And then, I guess, from a certain age, they are able to go to university once they have that education and the tools, I guess, in their belt. They can pursue higher education, such as university, and develop a better future for themselves and for their country.
They can be on their own.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you're saying. So you need to, your idea basically is you need to get children into school early on. That is a must.
Yeah, to the families and to the parents, to the communities. It's really, really, really important to provide that access for the children, because once they have education, once they have an opportunity, I know that they have the potential. I know that they have the hard-working drive within them, really to pursue every opportunity that they receive. So as long as you provide the access and the education, I mean, from then on, they can take charge really of what they have. But to really support them when they are young and when they need support is the biggest issue. Yeah.
How far have you traveled inside Ethiopia? I mean, I know that you have been 5 or 6 times in the last 7 years.
I've been to Ethiopia about 4 times now, and I have traveled all over to very rural areas, just speaking to children and to families, and very well received. Many children and many people know now about the Pencil Project, and they were very excited and very supportive. So I'm so thankful of every help that I've received in Ethiopia.
I'm sure when you go into the hinterland, I'm sure you face people, kids or families saying, "Oh, this girl has some outlandish ideas that don't make sense here." Has that happened to you?
A little bit, and I understand. I understand why that would happen, or why there would be any
Why do you think
resistance. Because I guess my view and my ideas are probably different because of the way I was raised and the way I grew up, and growing up in Canada, but also having an Ethiopian background, an Ethiopian origin. So for me, it's kind of like a marriage of the two, of growing up in Canada, but also having or feeling like I have a social responsibility to help children in Ethiopia. And because I've had the insight that I did in Canada, and because I had the opportunity to an education, that's my motivation to want to provide the same opportunity to children here in Ethiopia, because I've had that background and because I've, experienced that really. That's my reasoning for it.
You don't seem to run out of ideas,
No.
for your age. I mean, off camera, you told me that you were planning to kind of ship books to universities.
Yes, yeah. That's another idea that I have.
You're in ninth grade.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about supplying, books to universities.
Another, when I came to Ethiopia last year, one of the things that I spoke to many people about was, what can I really do from here? I need to know from you, what can I do within education? Really, what can I provide? Because for me, I'm in Canada most of the year, so to be able to talk to people in Ethiopia about the needs of young people, for me is a really big opportunity, because then I can better understand what I need to do in Canada. And so one of the ideas that came about was, providing scientific research books to rural universities, to universities that have been established within the recent years, that need the support and that need the help of the resources. And I think that this is also as important as educating children when they are really young, around my age or younger, within this time frame. It's also important to educate the university students, because it's a completion of the whole package, right? You can't just educate children from when they are young, because if they stop their education after high school, or before they enter high school, they will not be have enough education, or they won't be as well-rounded as they need to be.
So where do you stand today? I mean, do you have some books to ship?
Mm-hmm. I have collected research books in Canada, and hopefully throughout the year I'll be able to, bring them to Ethiopia and distribute them. And I hope to continue with this initiative, as well as the Pencil Project, and educating families and children about going to school.
You visited the Grand Renaissance Dome.
Yes, that's another big project, yeah. I fundraised about $1,000 US dollars for the Renaissance Dam last year, and made a speech at the Hilton Addis Ababa.
Who put money into that thing?
My community. It was a fund based for a project in Ethiopia that would help children, and I believe that this dam will help children. So that's why we decided to, put this together for a donation. And I had the opportunity to visit the Grand Renaissance Dam this past week. I'm very grateful to the chief engineer, Engineer Semenyo, who took time out of his schedule to take me to the Grand Renaissance Dam. And we stayed there about 2 days, and I was able to see it in the evening as well as in the morning. And again, I was well received, and I saw how dedicated and hardworking the people really are.
It's interesting. $1,000. I mean that's quite an amount for you. Mm-hmm. But looking at the big dam, mm-hmm. and the amount of money that would go into it in the years ahead, it's just a drop in the ocean.
Yeah. I understand that. The donation that we have collected was probably minute, but I have faith that other Ethiopians and other diaspora will continue, what we have started. We've started a small drop in the ocean, as you have said, but I'm confident that other Ethiopians will support the rest of the journey as well.
A few years down the line, will you still be coming up with new project ideas?
I hope to focus on my vision of education. I don't think I will stray from that vision because I believe that knowledge and educating young people equals to a strengthened nation. And I also believe that through education, so many more opportunities are opened for young people. So I definitely will follow through on my promise. I really, really want to try and help provide the opportunity that I've been given. I feel like it's my social, responsibility to the children of Ethiopia. So I will definitely be following up in the future.
Are there kids from your school who would want to join you in one of your annual trips to Ethiopia?
Yeah, one of the things, issues that I've witnessed abroad is that many young Ethiopian children, living in Canada or living abroad, really need to be more informed and know more about their culture, their history, more about where they come from, Ethiopia, their origin. And I'm so grateful to Canada. I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I've received by living there and by being born there and growing up there. But I will never forget where I come from, my roots and my culture and my history. So hopefully if I can, offer that opportunity to other children and even Canadian children, I want more people to be informed and to see with their own eyes the history and the beautiful, rich diversity that we have beyond, the distorted image that most people are used to. I want them to understand that Ethiopia is beautiful place and filled with beautiful people.
Well, Hannah, thank you for the great work and thank you for joining me on the show. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.